Anna.
Hello.
We're back.
We are.
This is the
And
end of
what,
the second day for us.
yeah, I know. I just, again, it's just absolutely flying by. It's going too fast. I'm enjoying it too much. So I kind of want it to slow down a little bit so I can drink it all in. But actually, yeah, it's just passing so fast, but still great content from so many speakers as well. To
It
come,
really
as
is.
we've had.
Yeah, I keep looking at the Climate Expo Twitter follow account, and it's up to 921 now. So hoping we can break the 1,000 by the end of the week, certainly. But maybe by Thursday if we're lucky. But it's all growing. This network keeps getting stronger, doesn't it?
Yes, and I think there's definitely a sense of community among everybody when now they've met other people through just the social media themselves and just having seen their talk or presentation, and it's nice to see them all like retweeting and also just connecting with one another, which is what we want, to grow that community and to change and move between our disciplines as well, which is really quite an exciting principle, I think, behind all of this.
Definitely. I've seen a few presentations where quite senior academics have been sort of talking a little bit about their career. In fact, one just was finishing at the moment, which was talking about this was a woman that was involved with looking at how cities respond to nature-based solutions, and she mentioned that 20 years ago, when beginning in this field, there were a handful of cities that were concerned about the climate, and because the question was about how do cities sort of work together and mobilize strategically to coordinate approaches. And her feeling was that 20 years ago that was a really big issue, but now everyone's just full steam ahead. There are thousands and thousands of cities that are trying to think about how to bring sort of biodiversity back into their area, how to rewild their environments, or to think about urban planning with sort of a concern for the environment in mind. That it feels that for some of the scientists that have been around for a very long time, we have reached this sort of tipping point where this is now on people's minds.
Yes, and I think that was sort of highlighted yesterday, actually, at the beginning of the festival, when we had speakers talking about how, we've known about this since the 1960s. We've talked about it. Some things were put in place, and in the 90s it was revisited. But actually, going forward with climate change and actually trying to address so many issues, which I think have just been compounded and added to, it's actually, made the challenge so much greater. But now, we've got every day we're learning, we've got better technologies, we've got better interaction, we've got better communication. I mean, look at this, what we're doing here. We're connecting a whole network of people that myself and you wouldn't know without this. And, the expo itself is communicating its messages, but also, trying to bring that community together, which is really, really important.
Definitely. And there've been such a variety of people involved as well. I think that must be something that's changed a lot over the years as well, that there are now so many sectors that are, massively engaged by this agenda and finding their way into this world. And I think that's really exciting too, that we can have these sorts of collaborations, like Josh earlier talking about working with machine learning experts and trying to find these smarter solutions. In fact, I guess to some extent, the smart city strategies are a part of that bringing together of expertise to find some new ways of working and do things differently.
Yeah, and then, I mean, the session I've just come from is quite a plethora of different topics that have got thrown up, not just from the audience participation, but just in terms of the different disciplines and backgrounds that speakers are coming from in that session. So we had Pete Smith in again from the previous session, and he was, outlining how and trying to provide that balance as well, because we've got researchers in there as well as speakers, and then we've got people who are working professionally as scientists, and we've got all sorts of people. It's such a good mix. And I think having those diverse and really interesting perspectives just really bring to the fore about how we've got so many different challenges. Again, trying to work out how we can apply nature-based solutions, how we can apply engineered solutions to really find the solution that we need to go forward with, it was interesting because we covered everything from biodiversity, sustainability. Sorry, I can almost say that then, and green infrastructure as well. And these things don't have to, coexist and just never cross paths. They have to interlink and be interwoven into the, not just the policies, but also the way that we carry out from the top to the bottom of how we're going to carry out these solutions in general.
Because you went to the student session, didn't you?
I did, yes. And the title for that was Nature for Planet and People, the importance of preserving and regenerating, the natural systems for both climate and human well-being. So it was quite a big title to begin with. And that's why we covered everything from, mental health and being in nature and trying to get reconnected and being in touch with nature, and how we feel that actually in some instances, we forget, we go home to our houses at night and the building that we're in is just sort of the parameters of our world at that point. And especially with COVID, we haven't really been outside in the same way as we had prior to when we were in lockdowns. So now, having had that benefit of having nature right on our doorsteps and being able to access it and have that well-being provided by nature, which has been there all along, but we've kind of been too busy to notice it in some instances. So finding that connection again and bringing it back, and doesn't matter what age you are, what you do for a job, and just trying to understand that actually nature has so many benefits. It's not just ecosystem services. We exist all together and we need to work together.
Yeah, definitely. I went into the international cooperation one, which I feel like I often go to sessions that I think you'd love. And this one had someone that was working on the Venice Biennale. So it was the director of the Italian pavilion, who's also a professor at Portsmouth University. And he was talking again about the importance of artistic practice and how we need to find sort of ways into not just awareness raising, but also behavior change and sort of thinking about solutions through these kind of cultural formats, so that people can either look at the problem differently or feel connected to it in a slightly different way. And I keep feeling, I think he mentioned sort of something along the lines of how creativity is like the biggest resource that we have to really solve some of these problems. We need to think outside of the box, and obviously artists are often the best people to do that.
I know. I do feel that I'm going to have to rewatch a whole lot of these sessions back afterwards. I've already got homework and the day's not over. So, I've really missed out on some of the art ones because I'm obviously come from that background. So I am really interested to hear what other people are saying about this as a subject and how that integration can happen. So I'll have to catch up on them.
Definitely, which of course you can do, because all these sessions that are taking place are freely available online after the event. And even if you are just stumbling upon the event on Twitter or YouTube, you can register and watch everything back, or watch the rest of the program, because we're still only on day 2. We've got another 3.5 days to watch things. And I don't know if you've seen the poster session hall, the poster hall they call it. Have you seen this yet?
I haven't actually been in there, but I just retweeted about it so that other people know too.
Yeah,
so,
well, it's nice. I think that poster sessions often at conferences are a bit depressing, I think, because especially if you are the presenter, because you're sort of standing there waiting for people to come along. But all of these presentations have videos sort of accompanying them, and I think that's a lovely way to make sure that people discover this work. I think it's another example of how the online event has so many advantages compared to a physical event. And one of them is just, if you are presenting a poster, then here's the video. People can see it for far longer than just your poster session.
Yes, it makes it more viable, doesn't it? And also just interactive. And also it's much easier to be able, especially if you had to pop out for lunch, or you've had to pop downstairs for lunch in this instance for me. And it makes it easier if you just only have a few moments to go somewhere. If you were at a big conference, it could be like halls away before you get to the place you need to be, and you're always rushing. And even though I feel that we've had a sense of that, both you and I, because we've been hopping from one thing to another and then going in one session and then into another as well, we've not stopped. But at the same time, it's been so enjoyable, because everywhere you go into, it's so fascinating, like what every speaker is saying, what their perspective is, and just really diverse kind of conversations, really.
Yeah, and there's some really exciting things coming up today as well in the afternoon. I'm just having a look at the program at the moment. There's, I think it was mentioned this morning about the creation of a global center of excellence on nature-based solutions, and they've got a dedicated session this afternoon at 4:15, which looks fantastic. And I think that will be a very busy session.
Yes, I think I will try and pop my head into that, because I got very excited when you said that this
Yeah,
morning about this. So I'm really quite happy to know more about this investigation wise. I think
um,
I'll be having a look around. Yes, lots of great stuff coming up this afternoon.
yeah, we've got also the climate finance and offsetting session, which is chaired by Cecile Girardin, who's actually speaking to us tomorrow. She is, of
Oh,
course, the
excellent.
artist behind all this work that we're seeing as part of the graphics of the conference. So I'm really excited to speak to her tomorrow.
Yes, I know. It would be nice because, it'd be nice to speak to another artist, won't it?
Yeah,
In my case. So yeah, it'd be
definitely.
lovely to speak to her tomorrow. That's an exciting thing to look forward to. But still, like you said, so much going on this afternoon, and also some showcasing around the nature-based solutions coming up. Yes, literally, this afternoon, not too far from now. So yes, we've got 2 sessions of that coming up this afternoon, which will be again really interesting to dip in and out of.
Definitely. And I think one of the things that's, again, for me, the previous sessions have really highlighted is just how a lot of the solutions involve just doing the stuff that we already know better. It's like, it's not even that you need necessarily new science. You actually just, even things like sort of land management, just making sure that the practices that we know how to do well are actually implemented well. There seems to be so much that's done badly, and that's a major change that needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like, people often say, where do I start? And it can be fundamentally very easy to start when all these things are literally right in front of us. Nature-based solutions is exactly that. It's there, it's already existing, and we don't have to, do much with it other than just try to encourage it and to make sure that our efforts are placed in the right, well, place.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it reminds me a bit of what I think Holly was talking about when she was on our live yesterday, talking about the possibility of creating sort of botanic gardens that are there for growing food rather than just flowers. And I think that aspect of just looking around you and seeing what you can do is a really great starting point. If you have any space to grow, if you can create an environment which you can grow something, is a great way to sort of think about just changing some aspects of your behavior. And I think one of the things that I've noticed as well, if you do sort of these small things in your day to day, it just creates that kind of cognitive engagement with the issues that then allows you to have your own conversation about what you care about and how you think about the future. And those very small steps can be really instrumental to bigger picture solutions, I think.
Yeah, because sometimes you might get stuck in, and you might jump headfirst into something because you're so excited that you want to do something and you want to be proactive, which is completely fine. But sometimes we often get to a point where we might try something and we completely fail at doing it, and then we think, oh, well, that didn't work for me, so I won't try it again. And we sort of have that, we put the onus on trying to do everything perfectly, and actually that doesn't work. And we know that from lots of other scientists, and also people like Greta Thunberg have been saying, we just need for everyone just to have a little individual action and something that they can manage. I mean, I literally have, I'm astounded every day. I go downstairs into my kitchen, and every time I turn the tap on, just before I'm just about to make a cup of tea, I look at my basil plant in the window, because I got basil envy, because my next door neighbour has one literally the size of his entire window, and it grew from a tiny little pot. And I
Wow.
thought, he's done amazinging well. And I thought, maybe my basil will do well on that, on that side there. And I popped it on the windowsill, and Bob's your uncle. It's growing. It's over a foot tall now. And I'm like, wow, that's quite an achievement, especially when I'm not particularly green-fingered myself. I do try, but it's not really my best forte. And I'm desperate to learn more. So if anybody's got any tips, please
Yeah.
send them to us. I would love to learn more. I'm interested in horticulture, and I really want to know about growing things. So any tips, very welcome.
We're gonna have to start our own gardening program after this, probably.
Probably. We do all sorts of things. You can do high-tech things for gardening.
Yeah.
And I'll do I'll stick my hands and pick up snails and things and show you and tell you all about them. So yeah, who knows?
That sounds good. Well, we're gonna have to jump into the next session now. So I think we're done for today. We've got lots of guests joining us tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to this afternoon. I'll see you in the sessions, and see you tomorrow as well.
Yes. All right. Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye
Bye for
now.
now.
In November 2021, the UK will host the 26th UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties in Glasgow, also known as COP26. The COP26 summit will bring together international government negotiators, decision makers, and policymakers to discuss how they should accelerate action towards stopping climate change. From small island states to countries with rapidly growing urban areas, representatives from 197 countries are expected to join the summit. We, the young people living across the planet, have the opportunity to tell these decision makers why stopping climate change is important to us, the future generations, and everyone's voice matters.
So we're making a film, all of us. Please tell us what matters most and we'll bring your perspective into the frame. Tell us what is important to you and how leaders can change so that they can lead the change we want to see in our world. If you're 18 to 30 years old, submit your video on Twitter, Instagram, or Weibo of up to 2 minutes in high definition using the hashtag #ActNowFilm.
Your video submission should include the following points: your first name and country, why is climate change important to you, what do you think is the most important change that needs to be addressed in climate change, are you a part of any group or organization? If so, where is it and what does it do? What pledge will you take to address climate change? And what would you most like to say to the global decision makers at COP? For more details, please follow on Instagram, Twitter, or Weibo, where you will find everything you need.
Here's your chance to show the negotiators what action you are already taking and what action you'd like them to take.